The following is an audio recording of our latest episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live. Follow SME Media on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube to catch our next episode live.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live. I'm SME Media's Editor-in-Chief, Steve Plumb.
And I'm Associate Editor, Cary Gitter.
So we're pleased to be joined today by a trio of esteemed SME colleagues, starting with Dave Morton, Group Director of Events, and Suzy Marzano, Senior Manager of Industry Development and Technical Activities, and a little bit later by Stacey Eeman, a Director of Industry Strategy. Dave and Suzy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we're here today to talk about RAPID TCT, which is a little bit over a week away.
That's right. This year's event is scheduled for April 13th through 16th in Boston.
So interestingly enough, this week is also SME's 94th anniversary. I've been here for 4 years, and during my first or second week when I was here, I attended RAPID TCT in Detroit.
And I had the same experience last year. I attended my first week on the job, which almost seems like a rite of passage now for new SME Media employees.
Dave and Suzy, you're both a little bit more seasoned in terms of how many times you've been to the show and your experience at SME. How have things changed over the years? And do you remember your first time at RAPID, Dave?
Yeah, actually, I was part of the original crew that took RAPID from a conference tabletop to its first year as a trade show. So I remember that. I believe from the early years, circa late 1990s to 2000, to where we are today, much of the evolution was paced by the advancements in materials and the exploration and acquisitions of technology patents and the market's investment in the promise of additive manufacturing. And all of that has led us to where we are today.
What about you, Suzy?
Well, this will be my 10th RAPID TCT, and I've seen it grow tremendously in both scale and industry influence. And the event now offers a much broader range of features, especially in its programming. Engagement from the additive manufacturing community has also increased significantly. And over the past 4 to 5 years, we've launched new awards, programs, panels, workshops, and continue to elevate the overall experience and impact.
Yeah, just in my short time here, I see a lot of the familiar faces, the players and the leaders in the industry back time and again, but also a lot of new people coming to the show each year, especially as we switch from location to location. And we'll talk a little bit more about the importance of Boston in a moment. But technology, as you noted, Suzy, is very important for the show. It's new products are introduced there, new partnerships are introduced, but the focus in last year especially was more on scaling production, talking about real world applications and production applications, going from rapid prototyping and niche applications to some more mainstream, across a lot of different verticals. And of course, the all important, how do we make money at this, which a lot of companies struggled with in the last few years. There's been some mergers here and there. Dave, even at some of the other SME events, you see additive as a key technology there. How important is this to traditional manufacturers, and are they diving more into the AM space?
I believe, industrial additive manufacturing still must buy its way onto programs where its value proposition makes sense. So suppliers in the value chain are increasingly adopting and optimizing AM as they focus on improving competitiveness, both domestically and globally, throughput for business growth, and productivity, especially in the face of the manufacturing skills gap.
Thanks, Dave. And this is a question I wanted to ask you, Suzy. I know one of the topics that the AM Tech Community Advisors addressed last year centered on adoption challenges around AM and widening the adoption of the technology. So, how do shows like Rapid help spread the word about the benefits of AM and kind of make a business case for the practical use of the technology as opposed to just the use for prototyping at a smaller scale?
Sure. So I think as you were a part of some of our, I'll call it strategic planning meetings, etc. SME's AM community has been tackling the AM adoption challenges for 30 years or more, specifically focused on some key programs and initiatives at Rapid. Examples of these knowledge sharing platforms include we've been doing an AM business case workshop at Rapid for years and years, and then we also host them at FabTech. We're also we evolved the AM business, the Aubin Award to actually focus on case studies. So this is an award recognizing outstanding use cases of AM adoption and implementation. We also held a standards forum last year, working across 4 different SDOs to provide kind of an overview of the AM standards landscape. And then we hosted a number of workshops at Rapid and other venues on AM career roles, responsibilities, to solicit input from the industry on AM job titles, knowledge, skills, and abilities.
So, what are some of the big challenges that are still out there that you've identified, and what is the community trying to do to tackle those?
Well, we continue to see gaps in workforce. For example, companies that are looking for engineers with both additive and I'll say traditional manufacturing or material removal machining skills and experience. And one area that we're focused on in the next few years will be to collaborate directly with employers to try to bridge that gap between their training and hiring needs. And another area that is challenging for organization, typically the small to medium, is when it makes sense to use additive, and most importantly, when it should not be used. And that's kind of the primary reason that we have held the business case workshop at Rapid, but other, I'll call it traditional manufacturing shows.
You know, some folks viewing this probably have been to previous Rapids. Others maybe coming to this year's show for the first time. So looking ahead to Boston in a couple of weeks, what are some of the highlights of this year's Rapid plus TCT?
Well, Boston has all of the core components to play a central role in advancing AM, with its institutional depth, broad industrial base, rich pool of technical talent. Rapid plus TCT is the right catalyst to activate all that potential. We've got 450 exhibitors, 200 speakers, 168 technical presentations, about over 100 hours of programming, including 9 learning tracks. So, 3 industry showcases. There's a lot happening in person at the Thomas Menino Convention Center.
Pretty impressive. I won't test your knowledge and make you name all 9 learning tracks at this point, Dave, but you can. It's important that people can kind of tailor their experience and what their area of interest is what the learning tracks are really about. What does it take to really put on a show of this magnitude? I mean, you've been involved intimately in a lot of SME shows over the years. How many people are there? When do you start planning for this type of event?
Well, events like this have extensive timeline of planning, development, and execution. So that starts several years prior to the actual in-person program. We have to determine where, right, and when. Most programs are usually in a state of concurrent development, like everything is happening for this year's program and the future programs concurrently.
Yeah, it's amazing. I used to go to shows as an attendee or covering them as a journalist, and never was really fully aware of how much effort went into it and how much planning, and to be part of the team now and see that, even though I'm not organizing it myself, I still get a little bit of a taste of what's going on behind the scenes. Suzy, how much planning is it on your end?
So we start planning immediately after the prior year Rapid plus TCT. I'm part of the technology team, and we provide a number of AM technical community-driven programs, including panels. We have a career forum. We do the pitch fest. I'll just cover a couple of items on each of those. Our panels cover everything um, from healthcare to PPAP to large scale additive this year. Our career forum, which is led by our new group, which is the AM Emerging Professionals group, is designed to provide attendees with tools and information on navigating careers in AM. This year, we're focused on mentorship and networking. Again, it's a luncheon session, and we're looking for, obviously, students and emerging professionals to join us. The other item that I think is fantastic, we started it about 4 years ago, is the Pitch Fest. It's a competition that we launched, again, 4 years ago. It essentially, each finalist will have 5 minutes to pitch their emerging technology, product, and or application to a panel of industry leaders, with the goal of providing visibility to industry leaders, but also potential investors. So we're excited to host that on Tuesday, and we'll hear from 5 finalists in new and emerging trends and technologies in AM.
What about some of the other awards that will be announced at the show?
Yeah, so new this year, and I'm just we're excited, is the new AM Gala, a new platform to provide an elevated experience for SME and the AM community. It's not new to SME. We host galas in the spring and the fall. We highlight our SME fellows, install our new board members, present medals for those who have contributed significantly to manufacturing, highlighting scholarship winners, etc. But this year, we're co-locating our awards program with Rapid News Group and TCT, presenting our SME AM Awards and TCT Awards on the same stage. And the highlight of the night will be to recognize our Lifetime Achievement Award. And these are essentially past winners. You all know them. Notables within AM, and these include founders of the AM technology, as well as individuals who have contributed significantly to AM. And some of the winners have been Scott Crum, inventor of FDM and founder of Stratasys; Hans Lager, founder of EOS; John Barnes, founder of the Barnes Global Advisors; Paul Gradle of NASA. So we invite all of you to purchase a certificate to the AM Awards Gala if you haven't already.
Yeah, I think Paul is speaking again at this year's event.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, like I said, the leaders are constants throughout the years. Chuck Hall was at an event 2 years ago.
Winner, yeah.
Yeah, I had a chance to interview him, and it's an amazing experience just to learn from people like that. Cary, not to put you on the spot, but since you did start baptism by fire last year, what was it like to get immersed in this industry at the show?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I knew very little about additive going in, actually, and so I was just incredibly impressed, not just by the technology, but by some of the really like life-saving applications of it, especially in the medical field. I sat in on some great sessions about how additive is being used in these incredible ways in surgical procedures and with making prosthetics, and I just found that really really impressive, and it seems like there's so much possibility there with the industry, and it's just a matter of kind of figuring out the best way to communicate those applications and get people on board. But the opportunity there seems kind of limitless. So yeah, it was an awesome experience to get immersed in that. And Dave, before you mentioned those 3 showcases that kind of allow attendees to have sort of their own curated experience at the show. What are those showcases, and why are they so important to the experience?
Oh, good question. New this year are the AeroDef Manufacturing Showcase and Healthcare Showcase, which each feature knowledge bars, giving attendees a chance to connect directly with experts and explore real-world applications. The Startup Showcase features first-time exhibitors highlighting cutting-edge innovation. So these additions help educate tomorrow's workforce on AM, which is critical if we are to successfully leverage this technology to address persistent gaps in labor and procurement. So, we think these showcases will bring great value to our program.
So, and along and coinciding with the showcase are the executive perspectives. So there's one each day, starting at 8:30. One is focusing on aerospace and defense. One is geared more towards healthcare, and the other is on the startup side. Dave, we're also incorporating those in some of the MT series events. How is that played out in those shows, and why is it important to get kind of people up on stage talking informally and sharing their experiences on this type of real world applications?
Well, I think, that's always where it really comes to bear, because our purpose is to help foster technology adoption and talent development, right? That's what we stand for at SME. And I do think that as we, dial in the condition of the marketplace, where, what do suppliers really need right now? What is available to them at the moment? How do they ascertain, all of these challenges, and how do we back them into technologies that can help them be more effective, profitable, competitive, right? And so no matter what program we're doing, whether it's, additive manufacturing focused or general manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, our goal is always helping the manufacturing ecosystem maintain its competitiveness and an ability to thrive.
Great. Well, Dave and Suzy, I know you're both busy preparing for the show, so we'll bid you adieu for right now. And being that we just talked about AeroDef, and it's the second year in a row that it's been teamed with RAPID TCT, and also makes it the perfect time to bring in Stacey into the conversation. Stacey, I know you've been instrumental in the planning. What can attendees look forward to in Boston?
Hi, guys. Well, I think our events and conferences align with our purpose, right? To engage and educate. And we started aligning AeroDef with RAPID last year in Detroit, and now this year in Boston, because that additive manufacturing is a common thread in aerospace and defense. Everything from, aircraft fuel nozzles to land system sustainment. And these solutions are getting multiplied every day, and is really part of the ecosystem of these two industries to really advance, add speed and agility and innovation to their forward thinking. And the AeroDef Showcase adds a flavor to RAPID that focuses on more advanced manufacturing, including additive, so that you can really come in as a company and make analysis and have conversations about what else would I need if I'm implementing additive into my facility, or if I'm advancing what I'm doing with additive, what other processes could really be helpful, like automation or machining or secondary outsourcing and things like that can really, really benefit the community.
Well, you addressed a little bit about this, but your travel schedule is pretty hectic. It seems like you're going to a different show almost every other week or so. There's a lot to choose from, and as the defense community is focused, on building up the defense industrial base, how will AeroDef specifically play into this and support this initiative, and kind of why should people attend it?
Yeah, so in my roles and responsibilities, I kind of focus on aerospace and defense. But, as you know, our history presents some other industries that are engaged. So when I travel the United States and to many of these aerospace and defense community events, they're really, really focusing on innovation, demand in marketplace to really kind of take commercial applications and modify them for the defense side. So if you're really looking at that defense side of it, we need to make sure that we're building up that industrial base. And that's why I'm out and about so often, is to kind of bring those people together with SME, figure out what they need, and then deploy that. Those end users that are trying to really elevate their manufacturing or their suppliers' manufacturing within their industries, it's critical that we're on top of that. And one of the things we do at AeroDef that's unique, and we actually applied it at one of the other events this year, MT Series in South Carolina, is bringing in the Apex Accelerators, Steve, which is a organization funded by the Department of Defense, but is called public-private funding, but it's really sometimes community colleges or whoever are the partners. And those people are educated and are facilitators of federal government contracting. So we put at our knowledge bar several sessions so that people can educate themselves and understand kind of what is the demands, or if they're in it, how do they elevate that? How do they bring it to the next level? I'm getting a complex contract from a prime or the end user, the Department of Defense themselves, and how do I engage this? And those people can assist. And then regionally, we have things called MEPs, and those really come in and work with your business to advance it. So those two collective education resources, back to why we do events, is to engage and educate on technology and talent. Those two together will help our attendees and exhibitors and conference delegates kind of further their conversations for aerospace and defense.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to interview one of the Apex Accelerator specialists last year, and it was very informative. But
yeah, very underestimated. Like, that people don't realize how much they really can assist. And with all the changes, Cary and Steve, in the defense industry right now, the demands are changing on a dime, and the professionals in that industry that represent the DoD, it's complex because they're getting them and throwing them out to the civilian group and these companies, and we're kind of a great platform to allow them to take a minute and understand what those changes are.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for synergy kind of between those worlds. Absolutely. And Stacey, I understand that there was going to be a special guest attending the show, speaking on one of the executive perspectives panels. Could you give us a little sneak peek at that and share a bit about who that person is?
Yeah, so our SME is very lucky. We do have a focus in defense where we spend time understanding what the Department of Defense as an end user is looking for in the manufacturing community. And because of that, I have been very lucky and blessed in my network to bring into our organization the U.S. Army TACOM department, which is responsible for sustainment, ride it, drive it, eat it, sleep it in the Army. And Brigadier General Beth Bain will be joining us on site April 14. And she'll bring a team with her that focus on maintenance sustainment for the vehicle systems, which are, sea, space, and other. or not sea space, sea and land, excuse me. And then they all depend on space now with the satellites.
Yeah.
And then advanced manufacturing for some of their new vehicle systems that they want to advance. And then strategic innovation, like where can we find that commercially available item that we can modify and engage and then apply to something to help our warfighters sustain what they're trying to do on their missions.
Oh, that's very exciting. Yeah. And in terms of the location of the event, New England obviously has a very rich manufacturing history, and SME has a lot of member organizations and important connections there. So why is Boston such a significant location to host RAPID and then AeroDef this year?
Well, earlier you guys talked about how long it takes to put on an event for SME. So the day we're done is the next day we start working. So I've been meeting with groups around the New England area for almost 10 months. And just a wonderful community of manufacturing. And as Michigan, where our headquarters is deeply entrenched in manufacturing, so are they. And they have fantastic systems put in place to help through their economic development platforms to engage those manufacturers, those small and mids that we're trying to build up for all the industrial base. And the stronger our industrial base is in our country, the better off our defense industry and aerospace industries will garner from that. So with that said, I've been meeting with the Center for Advanced Manufacturing. They do financial awards to smalls in their community, and they're going to bring a group of those that have recently been awarded monies to the event to actually tour the event in a very curated manner at the beginning so that they can get introduced to the expo and our 450 exhibitors that are on site, and those that are specifically working on automation and capital equipment in the areas they're interested in. So it's going to be really exciting because these people will have one-to-one conversations, and they have money in their pocket. So they're trying to figure out where that investment is best suited. And they're using SME and RAPID TCT and AeroDef to engage in that fashion, which is unique and very, very exciting. And then we have Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology, which is a group that pulls together processes and helps you understand what you're trying to do in your technology and talent, and how are you trying to drive your companies to be more innovative, to advance manufacturing, to bring your people along. And they'll do what we call an integrated solutions center on the show floor with 5 partners, where people can go up and ask questions and pose complications in their business, and they'll start kind of weaving the narrative that might really assist that company. So those are things that are going to elevate people's opportunities to really go back to their businesses and start engaging almost immediately. So we're pretty excited about those things.
Yeah, those are some incredible resources, especially like you said, for those small and mid-sized companies that need to tap that kind of financial and organizational support. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Boston really is a center of all types of manufacturing. Aerospace and defense, biomedical is huge out there, and a lot of big equipment makers, as well as those small and mid-sized companies that are looking for some additional resources and how to tap into that. It's certainly going to be an exciting time. I know we're all looking forward to it, and Stacey, I've been communicating with the general's team, and looking forward to speaking to her out there as well. That is a big get and very important for us.
Well, and her background, Steve, she took the baton from Major General Laylar, who was at our event last year, and he's over in Europe and Africa, and she is doing that innovation coordination with Rock Island, with Warren, Michigan, with all of these different assets that they have. So it's going to be really exciting for us to hear her viewpoints and have her have discussions with other professionals in this industry. It's critical. And the the item that we have within SME is that, small to large, we help with talent in school, in plant, all these different mechanisms. We're very lucky to have an organization that can kind of be involved at so many levels within advancing manufacturing. And I'm thrilled. And people are really excited to come to Boston. And you forgot a few because there's a couple others like Hasbro there that's kind of fun to see what they get to do. It's a little different than where I focus. And so it's fun. And they'll be on site, and we'll have the user group that's local, ADIA, on site as well with their members, having a member meeting. And so some new things, Steve, that you and I get to, touch, see, and feel and get excited about, and watch this technology really expand into what it needs to be, which is a fabulous manufacturing resource solution for all industries.
Hasbro is definitely an innovator in the AM space, and they did some exciting things a few years ago where they introduced. And Stacey, you mentioned land, sea, and space earlier, so I'd be remiss not to mention that we currently have a spaceship in about to be in orbit around the moon.
Yeah,
but it would have been really great planning. I would have commended Dave and Suzy. It's almost going to be landing at the start of the show. I think it's due to land, come back to Earth 2 days beforehand or so.
Which is very exciting. A lot of the AFRL has always been engaged with SME, and we've driven, we've taken out of the AFRL's responsibilities and moved it over to Space Force Research Laboratories, and much of that technology adoption that's getting very aggressive in the last 5 years in that space area is in additive, and then material development for satellites. So, we're very lucky that, again, we get to engage with all of these, and they're on site at our events because they get to engage with all these suppliers that have new technologies or have adapted something they've been looking for. And that's really important, to find those opportunities to advance those defense properties as well for all the different sectors within the Department of Defense.
Well, Stacey, thanks so much for spending time today, and Dave and Suzy as well. Cary, any parting thoughts?
No, it just sounds like a tremendously exciting show, and I'm grateful to you, Stacey, and to Dave and Suzy for sharing some of what's in store for attendees. And people should check out the website to get more details on all the showcases and the sessions and the speakers. It's really an impressive lineup this year.
It really is, Cary. It really is. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that even Dr. Connor's going to do a briefing on some of the National Defense Authorization Acts and the NSS, National Security and briefing. And so we're doing some unique things this year that will be focused on defense. But remember, we have healthcare, and we have consumer good, and we have aerospace and automotive and transportation. So very exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
And for those who may not know, Dr. Connor is our very own Brett Connor, who is SME's Chief Manufacturing Officer. And we're very happy to have him leading one of the executive perspective panels. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live. And please visit us at advancedmanufacturing.org for all your manufacturing news. And watch for us in 2 weeks for the next episode.